Welcome to Masechtas Bava Kama, Yerushalmi, Daf Chof Hey, holding by the Heilige Mishnah, Halacha Vav. Zok the Heilige Mishnah. Hamadrik Dach Shaloi, Ad Kama Tavarad Lake. Someone's lighting, he has to light a fire in his field. His control, I guess, is the dead wood. How much space does he have to have around him in order to be part of Rebbe Lozman is Ayim Eroinos Akilu He Be'em to base core. So he has to be, he knows he has a base core on every side of where he's lighting the fire until he gets to the next guy's field. Rabbi Eliezer Moshe Shesri Amos 16 ams Kiderech HaRabim, like Rosh Hashanah. Rabbi Kiva on Mechamishim Am 50 am Shimon Mishal Mishal Mavis Habeira. Kol of Yamadlik depends what kind of fire he's lighting, the size of the fire. Zukti Gemara Madlu B'Toch Shaloi He Tani Ma'aser Shavrat Lekas Yadin Shoyse Kasha, that there was a particular fire that was very strong and it jumped over the Yarden. At Kama Tavarat Lekas. Again, this goes back to the Mishnah's question. Rabbi Eliezer Moshe Shesri Amos Kiderech HaRabim, that you need that space. And b'shas haruach, you need even more space. Shloishim, I have to give that fire 30 amma space. Rabbi Yehuda shloishim amma b'shas haruach, when there's a wind blowing chamishim amma. Rabbi Kiva chamishim amma b'shas haruach mei amma. Ma'isa, there was a story ba'ariv, shekafat, Ma'isa bar was a story in Ariv, shekafat ha'or, yosim shloish meis amma. It was a very strong wind, and the fire managed to jump 300 amas. Amos Sabbath man shekafat. We're talking about a case where it's kafat. So there was a lot of twigs there. There was a lot of flammable material. And it was slowly going along and burning. Because in that case, you have to be careful when you light the fire to make sure that it can't travel. If it passed over a river or shluz is an irrigation canal, which are 8 amos wide, with a body of water that's 8 amos wide, in that case, pata, it's considered to be unusual. Someone lights he has a pile of grain, and a guy comes along and lights the guy's pile of grain, and it happens to be kalim that were in the pile. Right, they were buried in the pile. Rabbi Yehuda Misham Kol Masha B'Zarech, you have to pay for everything that's in it. V'chomer Amim, Enu Sham Al Gadish Shal Chitin, a Gadish Shal Sayon. You don't have to pay for anything more than a Gadish of wheat or barley. Gedi kafis loy. Let's say there was a gedi tied to it. That doesn't really matter if the gedi was kafis loy or not. That's just what we were about to say about the evet. That's what the Mishnah says kafis loy about a gedi. The evet samach loy v'nisrafimoy, and he burned the gadish, and the evet was burnt with it. Chayv is chayv in the gedi because the evet should have run away. These are baradas, should have run away. Evet kafas loy ugdi samach loy. Let's say the evet was tied down. That's the main point over here. V'nisrafimoy, and the evet was killed by the fire. Pata, because come Levid Rabbaneh is Chayiv Misa for the Eved that he killed. If you've light a house on fire, because since it's known for people to store things in their house, you have to pay for whatever was in the house. And the Gemara is going to talk about this a little bit later. Zok die Gemara Madrig is a god. The Shabbat Vav B'Shem Rabbi Yochanan Moinu Chom Rabbi Yudin B'Kli Goydin Shedak Lahamin. When the Chomim say that you're potter, that you're not chayiv, it is that you're potter on Masha Begodish, they don't mean it's not a blanket patur. That they're just saying that you're potter on unusual items. So if I claim that underneath the Godish I had $10 million in cash, that's unusual, and therefore I wouldn't be chayiv unless I can bring proof, like we'll see. But if you have, let's say, kli goyrin, so I have my pitchfork in there and my items that I use for my field, then I'd be chayiv. The Chum would agree with review that I'd be chayiv. Fine. Fake man on nichla shittas reviewden. Stephen reviewden. Taman oime by shikha says pratla taman. Shikha is not taman is excluded by taman. V'hachu oime the rabbi says a taman. Now here, for some reason, he says he's marba taman. So Gemara says, what are you talking about? That's not a steal. Let's review the Darish. Hachel, Gadish. Didn't review the Darshan yesterday that the Gadish, right? He Darshan the extra God. Gadish was extra. Lays a dove and Emma Gadish. Why do we have a Gadish over here? Shemashal Kol Mashavataycha. It comes to be married that you pay whatever is in the Gadish. Mechvashitas Rabbanan. So Stira and Rabbanan. Taman Amrim Le Rabbis Taman. By Shikha they say it's included in Taman. V'chayim Pratla Taman. Here they're excluding Taman. So Gemara says again, like we just saw, so they didn't give you a blanket patur on Taman. They said for things that are usual to be there, Yechayiv. So by Shikha, they're marbit. Over here, they exclude most items because most people don't store things under a gadish in the middle of a field. We're talking about there are no Eidim. that there was $10 million onto the Gaddish. Yesh Edom that there was $10 million onto the Gaddish. Kol Amamoid, everybody would agree. Alada, the Rebbe Yehuda, everybody would agree that Rebbe Yehuda is correct, and we don't do Cohen. The Tani Kain, Hay Gadish Chit and Mechuppas Iron. If there was a Gadish Chit Mechuppas Iron, a Gadish Sai Mechuppa Chitin, or the other way around, nice like Gadish Saim. You always give them Saim. Saim are cheaper. Nobody's going to tell you that they decided to have a Gadish with no one's going to tell you that they had a Gadish of chitin being used a Gadish of Sarim being used to cover up for chitin and vice versa. It's always, we always take the cheaper one and we assume that it was Sa'irim because that's what's usual to have the Kado Chabanashit, he was a guy, Ifkid Gabi Chavre Chatsak Tzor, somebody gave, deposited by somebody, a guy deposited by his friend, a tied sack. So they didn't know what was inside it, the Ira Einis. And now, obviously, with the Murphy's Law, something happened to the sack, and now it's gone. So now we knew it was deposited. The question is now, what was in that bag? So just switch around the gissa. The depositor says mitaxin. I had fancy silk cloth in there. The bank guy says, the one who was deposited by says, see, you're gonna have it was just some metal junk. So you can have a molly that was full of Sigan. Also of the Kumar Rav, so the story comes from Rav, Amar that he can come and take it. And I believe the reason for that is because people don't just deposit scrap metal by other people. It's worthless. So it must be he had fancy things in there, and that's why expensive items, and therefore Rav said Nishba because that's what's usual to be deposited by people. So over here, the same thing, since it's usual to have Sa'irim there, unless we know otherwise, we'll assume it's Sa'irim. And a person comes, right? A guy comes, everybody knows in the neighborhood, he's the poor man in the neighborhood, and he says, "What I had deposited a tremendous amount of money. Would we listen to him?" I mean, at the end of the day, it's possible that he has it. Just because people think he's poor doesn't mean he actually is. So when it says Nishmin and adult, let's see from this story. Daris the Baziza, the worker of Baziza, Ifkid Gabi Chabanash, he went and he deposited by somebody, litra dahav, a litter of gold. And Miss Barziza, or Miss Arista Barziza, they were in an auto accident, and both Arista Barziza and Barziza both were tragically killed. Also of the Kumar Rabbi Shmuel, but Rabbi Yossi, so the story comes from Shul Rabbi Yossi. I'm a man who the lo yoda the whole might that the isla arise the Barziza. The Barziza, everybody knows that whatever the aris of Barziza has, most likely belonged to Barziza. Where would he get any fancy? Where would he get the liter of gold? So therefore he says, Yisiav and Labanit Barziza. Give the gold to the children of Barziza. Havno Barziza benin Rabravin benin Tekikin. Now Barziza had older children, adult children. He had children that wanted by mitzvah. So Rabbi Shmuel, Rabbi Yossi says, Yasfun Rabravai Palga. Let the older children take half. The Kadarov the Kikai. When the younger ones grow up, Yasfun Palga they'll take their half. Unfortunately, the story has a lot of people dying here. Damach Rabbi Shmuel Rabbi Yossi. Rabbi Shmuel Rabbi Yossi passed away, so also of the Kumei Rabbi Chia Rabba. So now they went to Rabbi Chia Rabba. The story comes from Rabbi Chia Rabba, and Rabbi Chia Rabba disagreed with Rabbi Shmuel Rabbi Yossi, and here we see an answer to what Rabbi Yochanan asked. He says, "Amar in minado leshma mino klum." This is not a proof. Just because he was the Aris of Aziz doesn't mean he didn't have anything of his own. Is Barnosh, there are people, the law the law they don't want people to know that they're wealthy, and therefore could be belong to the Aris of Aziza. And therefore Yisyavan Labana Darisa, let it be given to the children of the Aris. Amalei More de Pikdaina. So the Baal Pekadon says, one second, Kvayavis Palg already gave half to the children of Barziza. Amalei. So Reb Chi Rabba says to him, Mashanasat, don't worry, Mashanasat, I'll be Besnasata. Okay, nothing, don't worry about it. You're not responsible for that. Mashatanoisin, what you're about to give to the children of the Aris, I'll be Besnatanoisin. So you have to worry about it. Now, Freit Gemara, Ma the Yemrum Boni Darisa de Barziza, Leboni de Barziza, Yavaloy Ma Denaston. Hey, can the children of the Aris go to the children of Aziz and say, give us back what you took? So, if the Gemara, no, they can't, because because the children of Aziz can say, Mashanas al pi beznas, what was done al pi bezn, therefore we get to keep it. It's a Ma'isa bezn. Mao the Yemrun the Kikaya Rav Revaya Niflu Gimcha. So what about can the younger children say to the older children, "Hey, it's not fair, you guys got a half, give us half." So the Gemara first says, Yochel Mem Elohim Etziyah Mitzonu. So the older children say, what do you mean? We got it as a Mitzvah, right? Because really at the end of the day, it really belonged to them. So it's as if they found the Mitzvahs. If they found the Mitzvah, they're not mechuyev to share with the younger brothers. It's not true. It's as if they got a present. And it's as if the children, all the children of Bar Ziza got a present, because they basically it shouldn't have gone to them. And so it's as if they got a present. Therefore, they would have to split it with the older children would have to split with the younger children of Bar Ziza.